Hello and welcome back to the Red and White podcast. I got a very special edition today, joined by former Sunderland player and Trinidad and Tobago international, Carlos Edwards. Carlos, thanks a lot for coming on. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. A pleasure to be on.
No, thanks a lot for coming on. You on, sorry?
Anything for the red and white, mate.
Oh, brilliant. As much as you did have a little cheeky pop before we came on.
Yeah, that's all right.
So just to start us off, really, obviously you grew up in Trinidad and Tobago, a bit of a mouthful to say.
Yeah.
How did that compare to living in the UK?
First and foremost, it's hot all year round in Trinidad. If for you to say it properly, just say TNT.
TNT. We'll say that for the rest of the interview then.
Yeah, TNT. It'll be easier for you because it's a mouthful to say Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
Yeah. How could I put it? It was growing up in Trinidad. All you know, it's rain, sun. And when the opportunity came to, obviously, when I first came, I was North Wales, and that was a reality check because it's always raining and cold there. But it was something that I was ready for in terms of my background from finishing college. I went straight into the military. So that kind of hard mental, physical, toughness was instilled in me during those 6 months I was doing my military training. So coming over, yes, it was different climate and it's cold to obviously the training that I'd done in the military, but it's something that it was instilled in me to never give up, regardless of the circumstances. And coming over to England, Wales, it was just a dream come true, really.
Yeah, obviously it was Wrexham, wasn't it? I think you came over to.
Yeah, Wrexham was.
So just on your military training, that's not something I've heard before. How did that kind of work with you like playing football over there then?
Well, from college, obviously I played football all through college, finished, and my former coach, who passed away a few months ago, rest in peace, Mr. Grosvenor. One of my teammates in college, his dad was the brigadier in the military. He was the head man, and he used to always say to me that you're going to come in. The military had a professional team at that point in time also, which was playing in the pro league back in Trinidad. And it was an opportunity, even though I was working for the government, I was still had the opportunity to play professional football at the same time. So it was a no-brainer, being employed by the government and getting the opportunity to play football, which I wanted to, was, it was killing two birds with really one stone. And so be it. That happened in 1998. It was when I joined the military straight from college, and it was just it wasn't something that I had planned. It was planned for me by obviously my mate, dad, and my former college coach.
Yeah. So would that have been Patna United that you played for in the military?
No. Defence Force. Patna United was my local. That was my first team that my uncle, he was the coach, and I was about
Is that 9, how you got 10. In?
Yeah, I was 9, 10 at that time, and we joined a local district league. Obviously, we came second in the league, and we won the cup. And I think that was the only time that I actually played like kids football. Competitive kids football at that time, only 1 year. And then I went, obviously, it was just me doing training for the youth Trinidad team, going and playing on for the under 21s, and then making my senior debut in 99. So, even though I started off young in playing football, it never materialized properly until I got to the age of 16, 17, when I obviously started playing for the youth level in Trinidad.
Yeah, obviously you came to the UK, you mentioned why coming to Wrexham. How did that move come about? Like, did they have a scout over in Trinidad or?
Yeah, my former agent, who is from Liverpool, Mike Berry, one of my former teammates who was in the military at the same time, Clayton Ince, he was a goalkeeper there, and he had left a couple of years before, and he had joined Crew Alexandra, and what a coincidence! Obviously, his agent was my agent at the time, and he asked obviously the question if there was any talented boys in Trinidad that he thinks that could cut it, make it in the English league, and he recommended myself. And he came to see me play in Trinidad, and I will tell you, that was the worst game I've ever played in my career. I think I was absolutely dog crap, but I scored a goal. That was the only good thing I did. I scored a cracking goal, but it was one of those games, you can't judge someone just by one game. But obviously, he heard good things about me, and it just went. And Wrexham offered me a trial, and I came over, and was successful. And here I am today, giving my story.
Yeah, interesting. So see, you moved to Sunderland, came about, but beforehand, I think you mentioned I think it was with the interview you did with Jacob, that you said that you were playing for Luton at the time before you came to Sunderland, and Dwight York bumping into you. Was it in the changing room or something like that, or in the tunnel? And he said that he was part of the inspiration to come to Sunderland.
Yeah, he obviously, I know Dwight. I played with Dwight obviously for the Trinidad team. He was my captain, and but I always look up to Dwight because he played top level, won a lot of things in his career and stuff. And when he went to Sunderland, obviously I didn't think anything of it. Obviously, I just signed for Luton. My first year we did all right. Second year was having a good season also, and I think it was in December of that year, we played at the Stadium of Light, and we lost 2-1. I think I set up the goal for us to score. And after the game, he was having a chat with me, and he's like, "You fancy coming Sunderland?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't mind. Why not?" But I never actually thought anything that would have come out of it. And there I was. I think it was. I can remember it was a Monday, New Year's Day, Monday. We played Cardiff at Kennet Road, and after the game, I was driving home, and my agent phoned me and said, "You need to go up to Sunderland tomorrow to do a medical." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Are you crazy?" He said, "Yeah, you need to go." I was like, no one said a word to me. I just finished playing the game, going home to relax, and I had to make my way the next morning up to Sunderland to do a medical.
Did you have any? Was there ever a point where you were a little bit apprehensive to come up to the northeast, or
Oh no,
was
no,
it a
not no,
no-brainer?
no. I never had any doubts whatsoever. I knew coming to Sunderland, regardless if Dwight was there or not, I was, it was a step higher for me
Yeah, makes sense.
to progress. So it wasn't to say because Dwight was there. I mean, it was a bonus that he was there, so because I had someone who I could have, relate to in terms of being in the same, as my countrymen and stuff like. So it wasn't any doubt whatsoever. At the end of the day, Luton signed me on a Bosman free, and they cashed in when they, I think at that time they maybe needed the funds and stuff. So when I got the opportunity, I didn't look back. I just wanted to go forward and try to progress and try to be better at every level that I went up to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was just wondering if there was ever any kind of doubts in your head, like, oh, I've got it good here at Luton, like why go and ruin it? But it makes sense, you're saying it is a step up essentially.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to look after yourself. Yeah, football clubs will always be there, but players will always come and go. And no disrespect to Luton, I that year and a half that I played with them, it was really good. We had a great squad, good manager, great fans, and and in that little stadium there, we absolutely roll a lot of big clubs over, when they come to Kennet Road. But it was just, I shouldn't say it was the right time to leave, but it was a good decision. you know, for the likes of me and my family, you know, even though I had just settled in at Luton, but sometimes you could settle for 6 months and then you can move on. But, you know, I never regretted it one day that, you know, the decision that I had to make, you know.
Yeah, that's good. So obviously the manager at the time when you came to Sunderland, a big character, of course, Roy Keane. How did he take to you when you first came to the club?
You know, when I first met him that same Tuesday. You know, went straight into his office before I started all my medicals and everything, and he just basically laid everything down to me and said, obviously, he's trying to build something here. He's trying to build, you know, a winning formula. You know, he's trying to get. Obviously, he has to get players out to bring players in, and he hoped that I could, you know, bring that fight and that energy that he needs to bring the club success. And he didn't need to sell anything else to me, you know, in terms of, because I want to be a winner. That's what you want to do. You just don't want to come to a club just for the sake of it, just because you're saying, oh, you played for Sunderland, you played for this and that. But you want to leave a mark. You want to leave something that the fans could say, oh, that player, oh, when he was here, you know. And there's a lot of players who sometimes do it for the wrong reason, you know, and I just happened to just kind of fit that formula with him, and he got rid of players that he think that he could not have worked with, and he brought in players that he could have maybe just fine tuned them to be at the same success level that he has been at.
Yeah, yeah. Um, it seemed to me the time of that squad, there was like a real like positive like never say die attitude. Like, is that something you picked up on like when you were training and playing your first few games? That there was a group of players, a real group of characters who just like didn't ever really want to give in and were always going to fight till the very end and give it 100%.
Oh yeah, because when I first came to the club, I mean, it still had a big core of the club that was relegated from the year before, and you had the likes of Dean Whitehead, who was honestly, that guy is a fighter. He is a Sunderland player. That's the kind of player that you need, you know. And he was a leader. He was a captain. He used to lead by example on off the pitch. And you have like the Nugsy, who I really took. Me and Nugsy was really good mates. And you have the other rest of boys, like you had Wardy, you had Danny Collins, he brought in Johnny Evans, he brought in Danny Simpson, you know, he had big Stan Vaga. You had these boys who, you know, you just used to work off of and feed, get that energy that they want to be winners, because Roy wouldn't accept anything but your best. You know, you can be having a rubbish game. Once you see you working hard, he will accept it to an extent, but you don't deliberately go on the pitch to have a bad game. You know, you do sometimes have bad games, and you just have to put your hand up and say, you know what, it wasn't my day today. It was one of those days. And but if you're constantly just thinking that, oh, you're just coming for a ride, that's when he used to be really peed off with a lot of people. And I think that's where he didn't have the patience of certain players, and players just had to, you know, to move on because of that. I think not necessarily mean that because you are a successful player, when you go into management, you're not going to be that successful. But you have to, you know, sometimes it's really hard. It is a difficult job being a manager. And yes, he did a great job that first year, and things just started to kind of, you know, first year back in the Prem, it was a kind of a, whew, you know. And I think at one stage it was a bit of a panic buy to getting players in and out, and you know, things didn't, you know, the players that he brought in didn't really fit the red and white, didn't work, didn't appreciate, and I think that was that was his kryptonite.
Yeah. I had Danny Collins on here actually. One thing he mentioned, he said that like kind of behind the scenes, Roy Keane can have like a bit of a dry sense of humour, and that maybe he might play up to the cameras a little bit. Is that something you would agree with?
Oh yeah, you see exactly what you see on telly. now, that's Roy. He loved to be, he loved to join in training. He used to love joining training, keep ball sessions, having us going. He used to put a few tackles in. That's what
I
he's
can
on about.
imagine. Yeah,
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to be on
yeah,
one of the. Wouldn't want to be one of
no,
the
you
end of
don't.
his tackles.
No, you wouldn't want to be. And but he takes it very seriously, even though he's not going to be playing on a weekend or midweek game. He takes it very seriously when it comes to those things. And if you think that, okay, it's just a muck about, no, he's not having it. He doesn't have it. And the little bit of coaching that I do, I always say to the kids, like, a day loss is a day that you can't get back. So why come one day, give 100%, and then come the other day, give 95%? You might as well come every day and give 100%, because that 5%, you might need it midweek, you might need it on a weekend. And if you're not at it in training, then why would you be at it on a Saturday?
I think you put it quite well. You say like you're not going to get that day back, so why not put 100% in there? No, it was just something that Danny Collins mentioned. He said he likes a bit of dry sense of humour. Maybe like maybe be a bit of like one of the lads behind the scenes, as opposed to the kind of, like, I guess, cold maybe character that he can come across as.
Yeah, he is, like, you don't know what Roy Keane that you're gonna get on
That's
a
something you
Monday,
said,
on a
yeah.
Tuesday, and on a Wednesday, Thursday. You don't know. Like, his missus might piss him off, and he will be, he'll come in with guns blazing, or he might be in a good mood because his missus might, give him a kiss on the cheek or something like that, and if he's good, and then he comes in and everyone is all right, you know.
Yeah, it was something that you said the exact same thing in another one of these like interview things, but you've just said it there. Like, you never knew what Roy Keane you were going to get. Do you think that helps? Like, maybe control players or get the most out of players if a manager can be unpredictable, because you just give your all anyway.
I think so, because he's not letting anyone let their guards down. So it could work for you and it could work against you as a player and as a manager, because if players get the sense of like, nah, I can't work with him because you don't know. But then, like, for example, me, he can be in a bad mood Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He's not gonna get it's not gonna change the fact that he's gonna upset me. I'm just gonna come here to do my job. I'm paid to do a job, and it's to play football and to play the best that I can, to entertain the fans and to make the club successful. So regardless if he comes in a, like, with a face like a smack behind, then that's on him. I could only do so much to maybe take away that smack face, by performing or giving him something to smile about, which he never used to really smile much anyway, but you know.
Yeah, I can imagine like the best moment ever happening and just keeping that like kind of cool look on his face. Speaking of great moments happening, a goal I think I must have watched on repeat. Me life, I must have watched it hundreds of times. I'm sure you know the one I'm going to mention. It's the 80th minute. Sunderland are on the counter attack. Daryl Murphy checks over his right shoulder, sees you running up, slips you the ball over to 2-2. We've missed, I think, did David Connolly miss one penalty?
Missed the pen. Yeah, he missed the pen. Yeah, they had a pen, and then we got another pen. I got brought down to the box. We got another pen. There was 3 penalties in that game.
And then I think Murphy had a goal disallowed early on. Of course, we knew a win was going to promote us in that day. And you just let fly, and it goes flying into the net. The commentary on that, absolutely unbelievable, by the way. I think Gary Rowell says if there was no net, there still would have been travelling into the North Sea.
Traveling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly.
It's when you look back at it started off on our byline. Bang, bang, Danny Collins to Grant to Murphy, and Murphy to me, like 4 passes. But then when you look back, because they were sprinting back so much, I didn't have a choice really but to shoot, or maybe take it on. I could have taken it on to into the box and maybe try a shot from close range or cross it, but it was only Daryl and Dave Connolly who was in the box at the time with about 4 defenders. But what made my mind up was my first touch. I didn't actually break stride in it. So when Daryl passed it, my first touch was forward and I was actually running onto it. So all I could remember, and this is something Roy used to always say to us, hit the target. Like, he used to fume when you missed the target. I mean, I could have missed the target from out there, you know. Guys missed target from closer than when I
Tell us
score.
about it.
You know, and I think my head was just down and I just said, you know what, Carlos, just shoot. And I don't think I could actually struck a ball any sweeter than I did that night. It literally just went. And by the time it came off my boot, I was like, it's gone. And like, I didn't even know what to do. Like, it was just like, wow.
Yeah. I think it took a nutmeg as it went in. I think it went through someone's legs and it went in.
Yeah, I think it was good. Is it Gudjonsson? Gudjon? Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, Gudjonsson. I think, yeah, it was one of them guys. He kind of went that down. It flew straight through his legs, straight top bin. But I don't practice shooting, but I know it's just hit the target. Just, you know, because anything could happen. The keeper could tip it over the bar. He can palm it into one of my teammates who's coming in to tap in. Because my first goal for Sunderland was a tap in. I think either Dave Connolly or I think it was Darren Murphy playing Sheffield Wednesday away, and he shot it. He shot, and he could have squared it to me. The keeper parried right in my part, and I just tapped it in. You know, so I mean, if I could score 15 of those a season, tap in, I'm happy. Then scoring about 3 worldies.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was still a toddler really when that going in, so I wasn't at the game, but I must have watched it back over 100 times. Like, it's just as it comes off the boot, and you just say it going. I mean, I'm surprised at how like logically you seem to break down the scenario there. Like, you kind of seem to give a breakdown of, well, I had Murphy and Connolly coming at the box, but they had 4 defenders. My first touch, I took it forward, and I didn't break stride, and that's why I decided to hit it. I would have thought maybe a moment like that might have been a bit of a blur. You know, you couldn't really remember your thought process. But does it stand out, and can you really remember it as it happened?
Yeah, I mean, I always say like it was so instinct. Like, my touch was like just, you know, just so perfect that, you know, sometimes you control the ball because the pace that I was going at, I think Darren Murphy was in front of me, and I was coming.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
heading to the north stand and just going, and he just played it. And as the ball come, and I think he played it perfectly also in my part to run onto. Because if he had played it to me, I would have had to break my stride, take a touch, and then have a shot. But he played it just perfectly in front of me where I can run on and give it a nice touch, cushion it, and just put it in the top bin.
Yeah, so arguably, Murphy deserves some credit for that one then.
Oh yeah. I think in a whole, I think it was a great team goal because
it was a counter attack, wasn't it? We were defending
Danny Collins could have smashed it into the stand for a throw in, where he kind of, I think at once he tried to play it off of the was it Gray? Yeah, it was Gray.
They had a forward called Gray because he scored a great goal as well about 10 minutes before. Not as good, but he did score a good goal before. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was Elliot. I think Gray scored the penalty, and Elliot scored the cracker. That was a great goal. He scored also. That's right, yeah. You know, yeah, and it was just, you know, but I think it was a great team goal. But obviously, a lot of people would give me the credit. But then when you look at the build-up, it was basically 1 pass, 2 pass, 3, 4 passes, and I can tell you, it wouldn't be more than 7 touches of the ball.
Yeah, I think I can remember from I think Danny Collins played it into Leadbitter, and then he played it in Murphy. Murphy looked over his shoulder and played at you, and just let fly. That's what I remember.
I think Darryl maybe took about 2-3 touches before he passed to me.
Yeah,
because
but
he was,
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, regardless. I mean, but I find it interesting that you didn't really practice your shooting much. Like, I'm struggling to believe it, to be honest.
Nah, I mean, obviously we used to do shooting practice, but to say practice and shooting, I used to just want to hit the target. Roy used to do a lot of shooting practice with us. I mean, close range, cross and finish, things like that. And but all he just have to do is hit the target, really.
Yeah, I mean, you say like you can get a corner or someone else can be
Yeah,
there for the tap in.
because in a resultant corner you can score from a set piece, things like that. So you got to put things into perspective like that.
Yeah, definitely. It's just an important principle, I guess. So I want to know, aside from that moment, because I would presume that's got to be your best moment at Sunderland, really. I want to know, what is your other best Sunderland moment?
Obviously, promotion would be. It was sad that it had to be. It's sad that it had to be against Luton on the last day of the season. It was a kind of a sweet, bitter taste. They were relegated. We were promoted, and but at the same time, I was employed by Sunderland, so they were the ones that got rid of me. Maybe if they had kept me, we might have been promoted. You never know.
So, would you have stayed at Luton then, or did you feel in a way that they kind of, I don't want to say got rid of you, but in a way kind of facilitate the move as well?
I think they themselves, because if they didn't want me to go, they would have said no. But they were the ones that accepted the bid from Sunderland for me. They didn't have a discussion with me or anything like that. I was just like a piece of auction. Like, yeah, you go, bang, hammer is down, yeah, he's gone. So no one from Luton had a word with me, not the manager, not the director, not the chairman, no one. Actually, all I knew was that the next day I was, heading up north.
So they didn't in any way kind of really try to make you stay. It was just kind of your decision.
No, well, I don't know if anything was going on in the background, but to my knowledge, it was a done deal, sealed and delivered by, whoever was doing the negotiation from Luton to Sunderland.
So, no, go on. Sorry, I thought you finished.
And obviously, my agent was just the informer to inform me that I need to be on my bike up to Sunderland.
Be a pretty strenuous journey on the bike, like I was thinking.
Oh yeah, it was one of those racing bikes.
Yeah. So we've spoke a lot about positive memories, but question I'd like to ask as well is your worst memory at Sunderland?
Leaving.
Oh, what a great way to dodge a question. I thought you were going to go with the Derby day defeat, maybe.
Nah. I don't think I'd played in that one.
Did you not?
I don't think so.
It says on the Premier League website, I think that you played and got subbed off maybe at some point.
I know I played the one in at St James Park. We drew 1-1. Could be. Obviously, it's some of it is a blur sometimes.
Yeah.
You don't want to remember those dark moments for your main nemesis. So yeah, could be, obviously, if that's the case. Yeah, that would be one of the most saddest memory. Obviously, you never want to lose against those black and whites. And it just happened to be.
Yeah. I mean, there was obviously they got promoted under Keano, and then I think you had a bit of a frustrating season. It might have been the season after that, where you ended up getting, I think, an injury, coming back in, and then getting loaned out to Wolves, then getting recalled. But then I think was that a frustrating season?
That was my first year. That was the first year back in the Prem. you know, I was really looking forward to it. You know, obviously work really hard in the summer, in pre-season, you know, after a successful season the year before being promoted. So, you know, you're looking back at all those things that, all right, first first time in the Premiership for me, I want to, you know, give it all. And I think it was my third game back against Birmingham that I actually I done my hamstring, and I was out for like 5 weeks and came back to training and then pulled up again. I spent another 2 weeks on the table and then came back, and it was the same problem until I think, and obviously in that first season, I think the hamstring injury kept me for 3 months, and then got back fit, and then came back, and then fractured my leg against Derby. So that was a kick in the another kick in the face, really, to, you know, be, you know, come back after that first 3 months out, and then you're thinking, all right, I'm going to kickstart now, and then for that to happen, it was a really frustrating, really frustrating. And then as you said, obviously came back, went on loan to Wolves because Roy wanted me to get some games, you know, to come back. Obviously went on a 3-month loan, and he actually called me back 2 months into the loan. For whatever reason, he never obviously told me the reason for that. I was just happy to be back, but then, you know, he kind of had me in and out again, and, you know, it was one of those seasons that you really want to forget. You just want the season to end so that you can look forward to the summer, back in pre-season and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I can just imagine it being a really like tough season where, as you say, you get promoted to the Championship, you work hard in pre-season, and it's just stop and start and stop and start. How did you
Yeah,
cope like with when you got injured? Because I think some players can take it all right, but then it can have a real negative effect on some.
yeah. I mean, I think that would be one of my most frustrating. I mean, I had major injuries, obviously after that. Well, one major injury after that incident, and but I think it's because I was looking forward to being in the Premiership for such a long time and had the opportunity to, and not being able to live up to the hype during the summer. That, all right, yeah, we're going to kickstart, let's go, you know, on a good start, and then it never actually happened. So it was really frustrating, and the way that I cope with it is just trying to be positive in every way. I mean, used to come into training, I used to see the lads every day, but I just wanted to be on the training pitch, but I knew I couldn't because of the injury. You know, obviously Roy sent me to a different specialist, a surgeon, to see if he could have done something different to bring me back. Obviously the surgeon was like, no, that might do more harm than good, just continue doing what you do. And I came back, and I came back really fit, you know, but it just happened that it I wasn't the same player that I was the year before, in terms of the excitement and, you know, being positive in terms of taking on defenders and running at people and, you know, doing things like that. So, and I think it all boils down to me just kind of having the injury behind my head, thinking, you know, and it took a while before I got back to, you know, being that player again.
Were you at all worried that, not that your career was over, but that this injury could have a real huge impact on your career? I mean, you managed to still have a great career after leaving Sunderland, but with you saying, you weren't quite the same player, was that a huge concern of yours or not really?
No, I never used to study that. I just used to study to just gain back fit. You know, injuries do happen beyond, it's sometimes it's beyond your control. And, you know, that was one of it. You can never tell when your hamstring is going to go or not, you know. And because we used to do a lot of work in the gym, you know, with Cleggy and stuff, you know, strengthen your core and all your muscles. We used to do, you know, really do things, because Roy used to make sure that we go in the gym to do even though we do a lot out on the pitch, we used to do a lot in the gym and stuff, like not overdoing it because you don't want to be too bulky and but we used to do a lot of stretches. But then sometimes it's always have them, you may not do the recovery that is needed sometimes after a game or after a session, and that builds up, and you only have to take responsibility for that for you as a person, because you as a pro should know exactly what your body needs after training, before training, to get the best out of you.
Yeah, no, interesting. Obviously, you mentioned there that the injury might have affected you slightly as well, but I think there was also a lot of signings came in at one point. Do you think that you all might have been pushed out the team slightly, or maybe, or was it the injuries that had more of an impact, or what do you think it was that kind of caused you to leave in the end?
I mean, obviously, Steve Bruce came in. Obviously, he never gave me a chance, and obviously, he wanted to bring in his players, and I had to do what was best for me. I didn't want to leave, but I had to leave because I didn't want to be one of these players coming into training every day and training, and then when it's time to pick a squad, I'm in the stands and I have to be going through the whole scenario week in, week out. I wanted to play. Now I could have stayed for another year and just be one of them players who just waiting in the wings, but I didn't want to be one of those players just waiting. I want to be a player that the manager could pick. Okay, even though you're not starting every game, but you can be one of them players that he can rely on, which he never gave me the opportunity to. So I had to take the decision myself and move on.
So why do you think you didn't? Why do you think you didn't get a chance under Steve Bruce? Do you think you just took a bit of a disliking to you, or?
No, I wouldn't say dislike. It's just that you know he just wanted to bring his players in. Obviously when new managers come, and you're not their player that from day one, or you're not that type of player. Obviously, he wants to bring in whoever he wants to bring in, but for that to happen, he has to obviously get players to leave.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it just so happened that I was one of those players.
Yeah, I mean, one of those players who did come in is Cameron Jones. Did you go to school with Cameron?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so were you like good mates growing up with him?
I wouldn't say. Obviously, I'm quite older than. I think when I was now leaving college, Kenwin just joined. Yeah, because I'm 6 years older than Kenwin, so it's. But obviously, we knew each other. We played for the same college under the same coach, and obviously played together for the Trinidad team, and but but to say to grow up with him and know him, no, I would say no. Obviously, we came close when we started playing international together.
Mm-hmm. Still
Yeah,
good mates with him now?
yeah, of course, of course.
I think he's coaching for the Trinidad. Is it under 17s? I think.
On the 17th, he's back in Trinidad now and doing a bit out there
I
in
think
the
he doesn't.
sunshine.
Yeah, I think he does motivational speaking as well, or something like that.
Yeah, I think I think from what I heard, from what my missus was saying to me, I think he's going into politics. Apparently, he might be
Yeah,
the new prime minister of Trinidad.
never know. Hopefully, does it. Hopefully, does a better job than the ones in the UK. Anyway.
Oh, jeez. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I was just wondering if there was any ever like stand up moment, or if you just kind of realised like, Brucey wants to bring in his own players. I'm not really in his plans, so I'm going to have to go, type of thing.
Yeah, but that basically was it. You hit the nail on the head. Obviously, I had a chat. Niall Quinn had a chat with me and told me obviously the situation and all of that. And you know, and I have utmost respect for Niall Quinn when it comes to that, because he was really honest with me. Steve Bruce wasn't honest with me, and he's the manager. So, you know, I could have been a right negative guy and just stay on and and block other players from coming to the club. But I was like, when Niall had a chat with me, I, spoke to Niall over the phone, and he was like, Carlos, this is the situation. XYZ is the case. You're a great lad. You've done a lot for the club. We love you here still. Obviously, you have an opportunity to maybe move on to maybe achieve better things or other things. And Niall had a nice chat with me. We chat for like 5-10 minutes, and he really smoothed it out for me, and that kind of helped me make my decision to obviously to move on.
Yeah, and obviously after that you went to Ipswich. In the same deal, I think, as Grant Ledbetter. I think he's went like as a
yeah.
Did you have a good relationship with him when you went, having played together and played in so many?
Oh yeah, of course. I always have I even talk to him now, like, and obviously always message him now and again, and congratulate him. Obviously, the cracking goal that he scored. I think he was watching some of my DVDs, maybe.
Well,
And
it was a good goal the other week, yeah.
Yeah, it was a great goal, and but yeah, it was good to see, Grant came with me, and I don't think Grant also himself actually wanted to leave, because he's a Sunderland boy,
Yeah.
Through and through. He is a Mackham through and through.
You
And
can tell when he plays.
oh yeah, and it just so happened that he himself he would say that he didn't want to leave, but he had to, because he knew if he had stayed, he wouldn't have got the game time that he would have want or liked.
Yeah. So moving down there with him, was he kind of one of the people you were closest to at Ipswich? Because you both seem to do quite well in the team initially.
Yeah. I mean, Grant was there. Grant was always, obviously, he's a quiet boy, as he's to himself. He used to just get on with the job. Obviously, Roy was there also again. So, I think it was a good fit for both of us, knowing that we played under Roy before, and we knew exactly what was asked, and obviously we did have some good times.
Yeah.
Being there.
One thing I want to ask you, so of course I think during your Ipswich days you went on loan to Millwall, and then you became like a Millwall player after that. Obviously they've got a bit of a reputation as a fan base. Did you experience that as a player?
Oh yeah, they're mental. Their fans are mental. But I took to them. They obviously welcome me in, because you never know what you're going to expect. But I kind of won the fans over a bit, even though I went there when I was like 34, 35, and they wasn't expecting the player that I was to be at that age, to be fit and energetic and mobile and stuff. And they kind of and that year that I went on loan, I obviously helped the club. We had 8 games to save the season, and we were rock bottom. And I think out of the 8 games, we won 4 and drawn 4. So that kind of that part of it kind of softened their heart to me a bit. And in the summer, I actually signed permanently.
But it was all positive with Millwall. Yeah, I was just wondering if there was ever a moment where, like, if they were to turn on the players, it could get really bad. Because I think Sunderland get a bit of a reputation for that as well. Like when it isn't going good, it's an awful place to play this year. Like,
oh yeah. Listen, Millwall fans are no different than any other fans, but they are more vocal in terms of, if you're rubbish, they will let you know. Manager, player, whoever it is, they will let you know. They voice their opinions like in black and white. Like they wouldn't sugarcoat it at all. And it was just one of those situations there, really, really, and again, after that quarter of a season that I had with them, coming the back end of that loan, really looking forward, had a nice preseason, looking forward for the season, and bang, injury hit me. Yeah, injury hit me and kept me out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, one thing I was quite surprised at is that I was having a look online, and I'm not sure exactly how reliable the source was, but obviously you're at Woodbridge, but are you a coach there? But are you also signed on to play for them as well?
Yeah, I was coach. I was coach, and but I'm not there anymore. I'm at Bury Town at the present time.
Yeah, but having you're there as a player, not just a coach. Is that right?
Where? At Bury?
At Bury, that's what it says online. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just a player.
Just a player.
Yeah, I don't move from the center circle.
Just
That's
just play in centre mid and just kind of pull the strings.
pull the strings. That's it. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Ah. Yeah, but no,
um,
I'm still agile. I'm still, active. I keep myself fit, I'm fit. But some of the players still think I can run around like a headless chicken, like if I'm 25 again. But at Bury, we have a Ben Chinnery, who's the manager. Has a great bunch of lads there, really talented group of boys who, unfortunately, we were unbeaten this season in the league. Played 4, won 3, drawn 1. Obviously, we went on a nice little FA Cup run. We just fell short of the first round. So it was a really good season, and then obviously the second lockdown came and kind of paused everything at this present time.
yeah, non-league football's been put on hold, I think. Yeah. Is it been important to you to kind of stick football out as long as you can, and even if it means like dropping down the levels just to keep playing? Because maybe one day when you stop, you'll think, why didn't I just keep playing?
It all depends how you feel and how your body feels. A lot of people say, oh yeah, they could play, but then they wouldn't give 100%. Where even though I still play it, I give 100%. And if I know that I can't give 100%, I wouldn't play, because I'll just be defeating the purpose, and I'll be just not being the right frame of mind. It wouldn't help the club. It wouldn't help my teammates. So if I'm not 100% committed, then you should just, play Sunday league, play Legends football on a Sunday or something like that.
What have you done throughout your career to like keep yourself fit at an age where I don't think it would be disrespectful to say that a lot of players wouldn't just be able to play at any level. I mean, is there any, were you thinking about that? Have you been thinking about this throughout your 20s and 30s, thinking, I want to keep myself like fresh for as long as possible? And is there anything that you've done throughout your career to try and make sure that happens?
No, I never had that in my. I just used to go with the flow. Like, obviously I knew naturally I'm a natural fit person, and I used to, not have it in the back of my mind. Oh yeah, well, I'm gonna have to do this to keep fit. No. I just used to take it day by day, see how it goes, And when that time comes, obviously I'll have to stop at some point. I feel reasonably fit still, feel good, and I'll just continue as long as I can. Maybe one more season, maybe. That's a big maybe, but at this point, I'm really enjoying it. I'm doing a bit of coaching also with under 14 boys and in the EGA and stuff. So it's good.
Yeah, just I read a line that there was an agreement. Obviously, you must have left there now. That you were like a player coach at Woodbridge, and then you played for Bury when Woodbridge didn't have a game or something.
Yeah, well, what happened? Because it's a non-league, you can have dual application. So at the time when I was at Woodbridge, Bury had a lot of injuries. So Bury asked Woodbridge if they could, register me. So maybe whenever Woodbridge don't have a game, I could obviously play for them, and which they agree. I did that, and the following year ended up going across to Bury.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously, you said that you're gonna have to stop playing that eventually, but you're getting into coaching. You mentioned that you've got a youth side, but where do you see yourself going in the future? Obviously, we were talking about Keano earlier, getting into politics a little bit. I know I've seen some players are setting up their own businesses, even obviously a lot going into punditry, and there's coaching. Like, where do you see yourself in a few years?
It's a good question. And I haven't set any anything to say, oh, I'm going to do this, do that. I want to get into coaching. I want to stay into coaching. I love doing the coaching, and wherever it takes me, whatever opportunity that I get, I will try to do the best that I can. But to say I want to manage Barcelona or some Juventus or something like that, it's chewing more than I can actually swallow. Now, if that materialized, it's
Or
good.
even Sunderland, maybe.
Well, even at Sunderland, yeah, I would never say no. I said to my missus, I said, if Sunderland give me a call today, tomorrow for a job, I will actually run up there. I'll actually sprint. I'll just put on a tracky bottoms and a trainers and start jogging up the M1
We could do
right
with a
now.
few more goals at the moment.
Yeah.
No, so would you say that you're someone who kind of doesn't really set too many long-term plans and just focuses on the here and now and what you can do as opposed to what could
Yeah.
be a
I mean,
possibility in 5 years' time?
it's always good to have a plan. I do have a plan of what I want to do, but to say to oh yeah, this and that, you're setting goals and it's different when you're playing and you're getting into coaching and other things, so you must have a plan. You just can't go day by day hoping, wishing. You must have a kind of some structure to say, okay, this is where I want to be. I'm going to start working on that, and put things into place. It's like an architect. You have a plan, you start drawing and sketching how your bedroom want to be, your ensuite, downstairs, upstairs, whatever it is, and then bang, you put it into motion. So
Yeah, no, I find that interesting to kind of get to know the people who are having here and talk them a little bit more about like kind of their mindset. So I guess that's something about you where of course you do plan things, but you're not someone who sets like just one goal for the future. You just kind of do your best and almost kind of see what happens, maybe.
of course, because you never know who's looking. So every time you do something, you got to try to do it to your best of your ability, because someone might be looking, someone might be watching. The way that your coaching style, the way that sometimes the way that you dress. Because if you go to an interview and you have a vest and shorts and flip flops, the person that is actually doing the interview will look at you like, are you crazy? Now, if you go with a nice shirt and tie, looking the part, they'll be like, oh, because first impression is always first, is it? It's last, is it? So regardless of what you do, you're going to make sure that you leave a lasting impression on that person to say, I might go back and have a look at this guy. Let's see what's he's all about, or maybe call him in to do a training session or to do something to see. Let me see what he's all about. So you got to make sure that whatever you do in life, regardless if it's coaching or anything, just the way sometimes you walk the street, because you don't know who's looking. If I walk the street, like if I'm some drug lord or some drunkie or some crackhead or something like that, people are going to say, what the hell is wrong with, is that Carlos Edwards? Like, what's up with him? But if I walk the street looking really nice and sophisticated, and they'll be like, whoa, yeah, that's Carlos Edwards, mate. He looks the bollocks, mate. Yeah. So it's, you got to put those things, have that in the back of your head.
That's I think I would agree with that. Where you say, as you say, you don't know who's watching, and sometimes it's the things that you don't think, you don't realize people are looking, and you do something, and that's what gets picked up on, as opposed to the time when you
Of
think it
course.
does. Yeah, definitely. So obviously, coming towards the end of your playing days anyway, really. Of course, you've stopped. You've dropped down a level. I guess you could say. Have you had any like struggles, like coming to terms, like mentally, I guess, with like not being able to play football forever and kind of having to leave it behind?
No, not at all. Because I never live in the past. I always put things in motion already to say, I'm going to finish at some point. So when that time was coming, I already knew, Carlos, this is the time. A couple of years before, it's like, yeah, it's coming close. So it's when it happens sudden, that's when it kind of really kicks you really hard. But for me, it was always, okay, yeah, it's going to come to that time. And I accepted it, because you got to leave room for the younger generation who's coming through to establish themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I had a few. I put a tweet out and a few other things and asked if anyone had any questions for you. And Dan Humphrey, someone who watches these and do a few videos with him, asked who was the most competitive player at Sunderland and who was your best mate at Sunderland?
Nugsy was my best mate. And the most competitive player. I would say Graham Kavanagh. Yeah. Graham.
I was half expecting you to go with Dean Whitehead there.
Nah, Dean used to moan a lot sometimes. But Graham Kavanagh, yeah, Dean used to moan up a lot. Jesus Christ, that boy. But good, hard working, but he used to moan too much when things don't go everything and things don't go his way. He always moans up.
Like, do you mean like in terms of if you had a bad result and you get back on the coach, or if training's getting a bit too tough, or?
No. And especially mostly in training, Dean will never moan up on the bus or in training or after games and stuff like, he is the more of the lead of the change room in terms of getting the guys when we down and dump, getting the guys to rally around each other, do certain things, and he used to do a great job of that.
I think you always need someone like that in a dressing room. Sometimes you can just tell when you look at a team, like, yeah, you haven't got any leaders in there. No one who's going to kind of
of course
stand up and be counted.
I think the best thing is that everyone respected each other. Everyone never used to get along every day. We used to have our little bust ups on the training pitch, or few harsh words might be said to each other. But that's just you just have to have a big, hard backbone to accept, take the criticism and just move on. And that's why at that year we were so successful, because we never used to take any crap from each other in terms of if you're not pulling your weight, you'll be left behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Collis, there was a lot made this season of when we were playing with three centre backs, and then the wing backs were three at the back or five at the back, however you want to look at it. Obviously, I think you're predominantly like a winger, but did spend time at right back. I was wondering myself, have you ever played right wing back?
Yeah, I have, for Wrexham.
And how did you find that? Did you enjoy the role? Do you think it's worth it?
I love the role. You got to have a willing person to do that role. You can't just have someone who can. You got to have someone who can go forward. You have someone who can get back. And I was fitted for that role. So it was right up my alleyway, in terms of. And I had another guy at Wrexham, Paul Edwards, and me. He's on the left, I'm on the right, and we used to complement each other. Like, guys couldn't live with us because he had the engine on the left and I had the engine on the right. You got a bloody Maserati on the left and a Rolls Royce on the right. So live with us if you can, mate.
Yeah, I really like it as a system, but there was a lot made saying that I can like confuse your own defenses, and sometimes players don't know players don't know where it is they should be. Does it take a lot of training to coach into players in terms of positioning?
No. Okay, it's for example, it's like this. If you play two centre back and you play back four, would you allow your both wing backs to go forward?
I mean, that's a question, isn't it? I mean, obviously, I'm
exactly.
no coach.
Well, this is what I'm saying to you now.
Yeah.
Now, if one goes, one
the other
stays.
one stays back tends to, yeah.
Exactly. I am saying to stay way back, right? And it's the same thing as the wing backs. If one goes, one stays, because remember, you got one less at the back now. All right, because you could just, yes, it's a 3-5-2, but the wing backs plays as any of the wing backs plays as a back four. So you got to be very clued and clever how you do it. Yeah, it might be the time that you might get caught two up, but that's when the midfielders got to be very clever now. If they see the two wing backs up, that's where one drops in. The sitting midfielder has to drop in to make it that four.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
But
think
it's
that
not.
was
It's not that hard. It's not. Listen, it's not that hard. On the pitch, it might look hard because we as supporters now we'd be looking at like, oh, but when it's going 100 miles an hour on the pitch, it's it's easy for us to just sit and say, oh, you should be here. But when you're on the pitch, it's not that easy. It's
yeah.
never that easy, But you just have to be very clever with it.
Yeah, I think that was Grant Ledbetter's role earlier in the season was when the wing backs were, because when we were playing with three centre backs, the two wing backs tended to always push on, like we wouldn't rarely sit, but then Grant Ledbetter would tend to be the one to sit back and create a back four. It's just something I like to ask players who are in particular either centre backs or wide players their experience of it, because there's a lot of Sunderland fans who when we started playing it had a lot of backlash to it. A lot of them saying it's 5, not 3, it's too negative. But I think if you can pull it off, it's really quite a positive
of course.
formation. If you have the wing backs there with plenty of energy, then you can really hurt teams as I think you were trying to say earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spot on.
So it's not, it doesn't take hours on the training ground to perfect it. It's more just a bit of common sense from a centre midfielder.
Just being aware where your teammates are and where the danger is. That's all.
Yeah. Another question from Matthew Lee, who I do a lot of these, is a good friend of mine, asked how much of an impact is there between home and away games? Can it be exaggerated sometimes, the difference between them and the difficulty?
I don't think so. What the difference is you're playing away from home. You don't have the home advantage, or you don't have that home crowd. So, it shouldn't be that big of a difference. Yeah, sometimes obviously the crowd do make a difference a lot, but if you're on your A game, it shouldn't be a problem. I know some players are really scared to play at home because they don't want to do something, have a bad game for the fans to get on their backs, and that kind of plays a mental game with them. But I don't see the difference really. I used to love playing away to wind the other away fans up, and I used to love playing at home to give the fans something to cheer about. So regardless, I'm going to be on my game home or away.
I think a lot of it comes down to your character. I think the stadium light as well can be a place where it can get quite toxic if things aren't working. And I think that can maybe something scare players to take a risk.
Too right. If you're not fit to wear the white and red, then don't come to the club.
I'm sure that'll get clipped up and someone will be over the moon. You've said that. You mentioned that you'd seen Grant Ledbetter's goal against, I think it was
Doncaster.
That was it. Yeah, you got a quick with me there. I was going to say Lincoln for some reason. Have you been watching us much this season?
Obviously, I always keep score. Obviously, see the results and stuff, but I haven't got a chance to watch any games really. But I've always check up on the score to make sure. That's one of the first things I do. Make sure and check the Sunderland score, and some of it is all draws, like we're in the wild west draws. But we on a good part now. One clean sheet, 3 goals, 3 points last game. So long may it continue.
Are you confident that we're gonna go up and get back to where we belong?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, good manager now. He knows what it takes to push to that next level, and hope that the board can help him in whatever department he needs helping in, and the players could start pulling their weight.
Yeah, definitely. I'm quite pleased with Lee Johnson so far, and what he seems to have done. And I think it's just a case of getting the absolute most out of every single player, and that's all I think we'll need to do, and to finish in I think we'll finish in the playoffs. To be honest, I can't see us going up in the top 2, but
you never know. You never know. Go on a nice run.
Run. I mean, I think it's just going to take a really good run where we maybe just go on a I guess like we did when you were playing under Roy Keane, we just go on a mental winning streak and
Yeah,
towards the end of the season because obviously it was kind of before you came in really, but we really struggled at the start of that season. So
yeah.
maybe it'll be a similar story.
You never know.
Hopefully, yeah. I think that wraps it up there. Thanks a lot for coming on. It's been brilliant.
It's a pleasure to be on, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah, and
We will get there.
no, go on. Sorry, I was gonna say something.
I said we're gonna go back to the glory land. Don't worry, soon.
And will you be a part of that one day, maybe?
Well, hopefully. Once the fans can get back to the stadium, I will hopefully make a trip up to the northeast and have a view.
I'm sure you'll be welcome back as well. But yeah, as I say, thanks for coming on. It's been brilliant, and yeah, really nice chat.
No problem. Thanks for letting me be on.
No, mate, absolute pleasure. Thank you to everyone for listening as well, and I'll see you again another time.